It's cake time. Today I'm gonna show you how to make a really delicious gluten-free orange almond cake. This cake has an incredible texture, beautiful flavor, and it is super easy to make. Hi there, I'm Nikki Sizemore. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here to make this cake with me because it's one of my favorites. It's actually adapted from my lemon olive oil cake, which I will link to below. And it's made with just almond flour and cornmeal, making it naturally gluten-free. We're also going to top the cake with a super simple orange cardamom glaze. Kind of takes it over the top. So let's jump right in. I'm gonna start with 2 cups of almond flour, which is 220 grams. As always, I'm using my kitchen scale. It's so much more accurate when you're baking with gluten-free flours and really inexpensive. Just like 10 to 15 bucks, and I highly recommend using one, but I do include cup measurements. Then you'll need 115 grams, which is 3/4 of a cup of gluten-free cornmeal, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of fine sea salt, and then 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. I love cardamom and it pairs so well with the flavor of orange. That's all we need the scale for. I'm gonna get that out of the way. And we'll just whisk this together. This is my favorite kind of cake to make. All you need are 2 bowls and a whisk. Rustic, wholesome, gorgeous, and super simple. Whenever I'm working with almond flour, I just like to get in there with my hands and just break up any clumps. Sometimes that almond flour is really clumpy. All right, that's the dry ingredients. Set that aside and we'll work on the wet ingredients. Wet ingredients, super simple, 3 eggs. And we have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I'm using a natural cane sugar. Some olive oil, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and this is gonna give the cake such a moist texture. A little bit of milk. You can use any milk you like. If you wanna make it dairy-free, just use a dairy-free milk. You need a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I'm just gonna eyeball it. And then 2 teaspoons of orange zest. This is gonna give the cake that really gorgeous orange flavor. So as you can see, I like to use my microplane upside down, and that way I can see what I'm gathering. I will measure it because too much orange zest can be a little bitter. And then we need 1/4 cup of orange juice. Perfect. 1/4 cup of that. We're just gonna whisk this together. You guys, this is it. Just gonna dump the wet ingredients over the dry ingredients, and we'll have our cake batter. The almond flour in this cake is actually really important because it gives it a really tender texture. And then the cornmeal provides a little bit of crunch. And I like to use like a medium grind cornmeal so I get a little bit of crustiness on the outside of the cake. All right, I'm gonna throw this stuff in the sink, grab my cake pan, and we're gonna finish this up. Before I pour it in my pan, you just wanna get in there with a spatula and make sure there's no pockets of flour. And then I'm using a 9-inch springform pan. Now you can use a cake pan, but this cake is pretty delicate and the springform just makes it super easy to get out of the cake pan. I've lined the bottom with parchment paper and spritzed the whole thing with cooking spray, or you can rub it down with oil. Give it a little shake, it'll even out the top, and it's ready to go in a 350-degree oven. Before I clean up, I'm gonna show you a really cool trick for making dried orange zest. I'm gonna use this to garnish the top of the cake. Totally optional, but it looks really beautiful. So I'm just gonna grab a plate and then zest an orange. You're just gonna spread this out on the plate. You can see now it's super clumpy and wet, and you don't wanna put that on top of the cake. So what we're gonna do is just spread it out and then actually microwave it. You only need to microwave it for about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. It really depends on your microwave. So keep your eye on it. Give it a stir maybe every 30 seconds, and then it'll be dried out and we'll be able to sprinkle it all over the top of the cake. Now keep your eye on it because if you microwave it for too long, it could burn, but now you see it's dried out and I can just crumble it and sprinkle it evenly over the cake. Set that aside, we'll let the cake bake, and we'll come back when it's time to frost. You wanna let the cake cool completely, and now I'm gonna make that really simple glaze. All you need is 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. You can omit it if you really hate cardamom, but I highly recommend it. And then just 1 tablespoon of fresh orange juice. You can always add more liquid, but you can't take it out. So you don't want it too runny. You want just a nice glaze that will drizzle over the edges of the cake. That's the consistency you want. Just drizzle that glaze all over the cake. Then use a little offset spatula or a spoon, and we're just gonna gently nudge it over to the edges. And I like it when a little bit drips down, if it decides to do so. Now you can stop there, but we're gonna garnish with this dried orange peel. Beautiful. This is such a happy cake. If you're feeling a little down, or if you know someone who's feeling a little down, this is the cake to brighten your spirits. If I had a bit more time, I would let the cake sit until the glaze was really hard and crunchy, but I am really impatient, so I'm gonna dive into it right now. Let's check it out. Oh, you can see that gorgeous color, and you can see just from looking at it how moist this gluten-free orange cake is gonna be. Such an elegant dessert, but also the kind of thing you can have with a cup of tea in the afternoon with a good friend. I need a fork, and let's give it a try. A little bit of whipped cream, a little bit of cake. This is such a happy cake. Oh man, just that orange flavor, it's not too overpowering, but it's so bright and lovely. I hope you give this gluten-free orange cake a try. Please let me know if you do. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video inspiring in any way. And you can find me over on Instagram at From Scratch Fast. I'm gonna dive into some more cake. I'm Nikki Sizemore, this is From Scratch Fast, and I will see you next time. I love this cake so much.